I still remember the day it all happened. It was many years ago, but the story of old Masika, the fisherman, still lingers in the whispers of the waves and the hushed conversations of elders in our village. Some say he was cursed by the gods of the river. Others believe he simply paid the price for his greed. But I, Juma, who watched everything unfold, will tell you the truth as it happened. Masika was not like other fishermen in our village. While many worked together, casting their nets in the Great Lake Noemaligo at sunrise and sharing stories under the shade of baobab trees at noon, Masika preferred to fish alone. He was a tall, thin man with sharp eyes that darted like a kingfisher scanning the waters for prey. Unlike the rest of us who fished for our families and the village, Masika wanted more fish, more wealth, more power. One evening, after the sun had melted into the horizon, Masika arrived at the lake. He carried with him a net that he had woven himself, whispering incantations into every knot, believing that it would bring him more fish than anyone else. As he cast his net into the dark waters, a sudden wind blew over the lake, sending ripples far and wide. Something was different about that night. The air was thick with an energy I could not explain. Minutes later, Masika felt a heavy pull on his net. He braced his feet firmly against the wet sand, gripping the rope with all his strength. His breath quickened. Whatever was in his net was unlike any fish he had ever caught before. With one final heave, he pulled it out of the water, and there it was, glistening under the moonlight. A fish as golden as the first rays of morning, its scales shimmering with a glow that seemed almost otherworldly. Masika's eyes widened in disbelief. He had never seen such a creature before. Just as he reached out to grab it, the fish spoke. "Masika," it said, its voice gentle like the lapping waves. "Spare my life, and I will grant you 3 wishes." Masika stumbled back, his heart pounding like a drum in a village festival. A talking fish? Surely this was a spirit sent by the gods. But the greed in his heart was stronger than his fear. He crouched beside the fish, his fingers itching with anticipation. "3 wishes, you say?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "Yes," the fish replied, "but choose wisely, for greed has drowned many men before you." Masika did not listen. He grinned, his mind racing with possibilities. "For my first wish," he said, "I want my fishing nets to always be full, no matter how much I take from the lake." The golden fish shimmered, and suddenly Masika's nets bulged with fish. Fat, wriggling tilapia, shiny catfish, and large Nile perch. He had never seen such abundance. His heart leaped with joy. "For my second wish," Masika continued, "I want a house bigger than the chief's, filled with gold and fine clothes." Again the fish shimmered. When Masika turned around, his old thatched hut had disappeared, replaced by a grand house with high walls, wide verandas, and a golden roof that caught the moonlight. Fine silken robes and beaded jewelry lay inside. Masika laughed, his chest swelling with pride. "And now for my final wish," he said. "I want to be the richest man in the entire region." The fish did not shimmer this time. Instead, it sighed, a long, heavy sigh like the wind before a storm. "Your wishes are granted," it said. "But remember, Masika, the lake gives, and the lake takes." And with that, the fish disappeared beneath the waters. For many months, Masika lived in luxury. His nets never emptied, and his wealth grew beyond what anyone in the village had ever seen. He no longer greeted his fellow fishermen, nor did he share his catch with the hungry. He grew fat and arrogant, his laughter loud and empty, but the lake had not forgotten. One fateful evening, Masika set out to fish as usual. But this time, when he pulled up his net, there were no fish, only weeds and mud. He tried again and again, but the lake had turned its back on him. Frustrated, Masika stomped back to his grand house, but when he arrived, he found that the walls had cracked, the golden roof had dulled, and the riches inside had turned to dust. Panic gripped his heart. Desperate, he ran back to the lake and shouted, "Golden fish, come back. I have another wish." But the lake was silent. Masika waded into the water, deeper and deeper, until the waves swallowed him whole. The villagers searched for him for days, but he was never seen again. Some say the lake had taken him as payment for his greed. Others whisper that he still roams the shores at night, calling for the golden fish.